Getting excited. It's time for the Start Spreading the News podcast. All right, my friends, let's get that music down. All right, it's time for the Start Spreading the News podcast, Tuesday, July the 13th, 2026. And let's make today a great day. How do you make your day great? Well, it's simple. Look around at the world, notice the good. There is good everywhere. Find that goodness and take it and put it into your heart and cherish it in your heart. You can't help but have a great day if you are grateful and appreciative and you take the time to notice the good things in this world. But there are those who say there is nothing good. They can't find good anywhere. I'm sad for those people. But anyway, if that's one of you, there is good. And if you can't find any, well, then make it yourself, because every human being has within himself or herself the opportunity and the chance to make good. Do something nice for somebody else, and then there's good. You just did it. You created good. Spread that goodness. When there is goodness, notice it, cherish it in your heart. When you create goodness, spread it to others. Remember, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. So today, what we're going to do is we're just going to have a little bit of fun and talk All-Stars. And maybe we'll have some fun and we'll take a look at the greatest Yankee by career and by seasons and see if we can draw any conclusions. But we'll start with All-Stars. But before we get there, let me remind all of you that this program is part of the great Start Spreading the News network, which is, of course, championed by the great Yankee website, Start Spreading the News. We put up new articles, fresh, brand new articles every single day at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and 2 p.m. Everything we put up is original, and it's our own stuff. Over the years, there have been many times when people have come to Start Spreading the News and seen our content and borrowed it. I wouldn't even say borrowed. I would say took it. They've taken it. And they then pass it on as their own ideas. If you've done that, if you do that, it's really wrong. What you should do is you should give credit to where you saw the idea originally or where the point was made originally. Say, hey, I saw this on Start Spreading the News. You ought to check them out too. Because a lot of people come, millions and millions and millions of page views since we started. We put out great content. As I say, 3 articles every single day. So come there, read our stuff, and then share our stuff. But when you share it, give credit where credit is due. That's what we're supposed to do in always when we're borrowing other people's things, whether it's their ideas, their writing, their lawnmower, their rake, or whatever you're borrowing from them. You're supposed to then say, yeah, I got it from so-and-so. Anyway, not to belabor a point. Also, this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia Publishing is a fantastic publisher that is located in the United States, a traditional publisher who have published a wide selection of great books across a huge genre, stretching. I'm trying to come up with big words, and I'm sort of getting tied up in my own ideas here. They publish books across many, many different genres. I'll just say it the easy way. They have published many of my books, including The Least Among Them, From Compton to the Bronx, 365.2, Going the Distance, and Scattering the Ashes, the greatest novel ever written. If you have not read Scattering the Ashes, you need to. It is the greatest novel ever written. You can find all those books and more at apbooks.net. All right, so this is the Start Spreading the News program. Let's get that little thing up there. Come visit us on startspreadingthenews.blog. And let's talk All-Star Game. The All-Star Game is tomorrow. Tonight's the Home Run Derby. The Yankees are sending 3 players to the All-Star Game this year: Cody Bellinger, Ben Rice, and Cam Schlittler. In 2025, the Yankees sent 4 players to the All-Star Game: Aaron Judge, Jazz Chisholm, Max Fried, and Carlos Rodon. In 2024, the Yankees sent 3 players to the All-Star Game: Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Clay Holmes. In 2023, the Yankees sent 2 players to the All-Star Game: Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. 2022, it was Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Clay Holmes, and Jose Trevino. How about that? 2021, Aaron Judge was there along with Aroldis Chapman, Garrett Cole. There was no All-Star Game in 2020. In 2019, we saw Gary Sanchez, DJ LeMahieu, Aroldis Chapman, Masahiro Tanaka, and Gleyber Torres. And in 2018, we saw Aaron Judge, Aroldis Chapman, Luis Severino, and Gleyber Torres. So those are the Yankees of the Aaron Boone era in All-Star competition. I have to be honest, I'm not a big watcher of the All-Star Game. I don't watch the game usually. I don't really plan to watch it tomorrow. But I do take notice as to which Yankees make it. I delight in the fact that there are certain Yankees every year that are part of the All-Star Game, more than just the token guy that gets picked so that every team is represented. The Yankees, as we just went down, usually have a nice large contingent of players who are brought to the game and are part of the festivities. A number of years, we've seen Yankee players in the Home Run Derby. Ben Rice tonight is going to be part of the Home Run Derby. And it would be fun, it would be great if Ben Rice wins it. But when there's an All-Star Game and when there's a Home Run Derby and all that kind of stuff, I just hope that the players don't get hurt. And I hope that when they're trying to swing for home runs, they don't mess up their swing. It seems every couple of years there's a player who says, yeah, I didn't do as well in the second half, or I got off to a slow second half because of the fact that I was in the Home Run Derby. As a Yankee fan, my interest is always with the Yankees. If you gave me a choice, would you rather the Yankees win the World Series or the American League wins the All-Star Game or Ben Rice wins the Home Run Derby? I couldn't really care much more than saying, hey, he's a Yankee. Good for Ben Rice if Ben Rice wins the home run derby. I don't care at all who wins the All-Star game. Going back to the World Baseball Classic, to be honest, I don't even know who won it. I think they played it this year. I know they did, but I don't even remember it. I didn't watch it. I have no interest. In spring training, I want the Yankee players in spring training. I don't want them playing for some other team. I want them learning how to play baseball as a Yankee. I want them working on plays with the Yankee manager and the Yankee coaches and their Yankee teammates. I don't want them playing with other players on other teams trying to win some tournament. No. I want them playing with the Yankees, getting the Yankees ready for the season. So if we go back to that list of all-stars, we've been having some debates on Start Spreading the News about Yankees who have been developed by the Yankees who have been good, because it seems like there hasn't been a whole lot of them. So let's just go through. In 2026, we have 2 homegrown Yankees out of the 3 guys who are in the All-Star game. So if we're just looking at this year, the Yankees seem to have done a pretty good job. They've got 3 All-Stars. 2 of them, Cam Schlittler and Ben Rice, came up through the Yankee system. The Yankee system created 2 All-Stars. The 3rd All-Star, Cody Bellinger, obviously was originally a Dodger and signed as a free agent and then re-signed. So if we look at it from a 1-year sample size, the Yankees are doing well. 2025, the Yankees had 4 players go. Rodon, Fried, Chisholm. None of them came through the Yankee system, but the other guy, maybe the best player in the game today when he's healthy, Aaron Judge, of course, came through the Yankees system. Aaron Judge in 2025 was a starter. There is a slight difference, obviously, between being a starter and just being on the team. The list gives all the players who were all-stars. If you're on the team, you're an all-star. If you're a starter, that's even more impressive. That means you're one of the best people in the game and supposedly the best in your position or nearby. Last year, Judge didn't really play center field, but he played center field, as we note here in the All-Star game. So 2024, the Yankees had 3 All-Stars. Aaron Judge. The other 2, Juan Soto and Clay Holmes, were not homegrown Yankees. In 2023, the Yankees had 1 All-Star. Aaron Judge, homegrown Yankee. 2022, they had 4, 5, 6. Holy cow. 6 All-Stars, but Giancarlo Stanton, not a homegrown Yankee. Aaron Judge was. Gerrit Cole was not. Nestor Cortez. Let's look up Nestor Cortez's career, because I don't know if we're going to give him credit for that or not. Let's look up Nestor Cortez. What I like to, I try to make this point in my articles as well. If I'm going to write an article and I'm going to do research on something, I might be trying to prove a point or learn about a point. But when I write an article, let's say I was going to write an article about how the Yankees can't develop a third baseman. Yankees haven't, who's the last great Yankee third baseman, or even pretty good Yankee third baseman, developed by the Yankees? Clete Boyer? Would that be the closest? Mike Pagliarillo? Do we consider Pags a pretty good third baseman? I mean, if you think of all the other Yankee third basemen, most of them, A-Rod, right now you have Ryan McMahon. I mean, they tried Miguel Andujar there. That was sort of a disaster defensively. You had Scott Brocious, you had Wade Boggs, you had Greg Nettles. A lot of guys playing third base, but not coming through the system. But let's say I was going and I was doing some research and I said, I want to see whether this is true or not. if in my research I find out that I'm wrong, I like to write that I was trying to figure this out and I found something else out, because that's the part of it. Sometimes we get hung up so much on trying to be correct rather than saying that all knowledge is a learning process. So I'm not sure if I want to give Nestor Cortez credit for being a homegrown Yankee. And boy, that's tough. He originally came up with Baltimore, then he was a Yankee, then he went to Seattle, then he was a Yankee. Went back and forth. If we look at his minor league career for Nestor Cortez, let's take a look. It comes up slowly. Here it is. He was originally signed by the Yankees, played in the rookie league with the Yankees for 3 different clubs, or actually, 3 different clubs. Then he made it all the way to Scranton, went back down to Trenton, I believe, played with Tampa, or it went the other way around. And then he went to the Baltimore organization and the Seattle organization. But I think we're going to call Nestor Cortez a Yankee. I'm going to give the Yankees credit for Cortez. Clay Holmes doesn't get that credit. Jose Trevino doesn't get that credit. 2021, Judge is a homegrown Yankee. Chapman was not. Cole was not. No All-Star game in 2020. 2019, Gary Sanchez, a homegrown Yankee. DJ LeMahieu was not. Our oldest Chapman was not. Masahiro Tanaka was not. Gleyber Torres is a little up in the air because he was already a top-rated minor leaguer when the Yankees acquired him, but he still played in the minor leagues with the Yankees. And then in 2018, you have Judge, Chapman, and Severino and Torres again. Severino was a Yankee, Judge a Yankee. So not a whole lot of Yankees on that list who came up through the system. Gleyber Torres and Nestor Cortez, you can give them some credit. The other ones are Gary Sanchez, Luis Severino, Cam Schlittler, Ben Rice, and Aaron Judge. That's for the entirety of the Aaron Boone era. I don't know if there's a conclusion to be made there. What is obvious is the only guy in that era who's had any staying power is Aaron Judge. The Yankees haven't been able to develop any other player who has all-star staying power, all-star durability in that time, because the only one is Judge. And yes, the Yankees get credit for Aaron Judge, but sometimes there are some players that are just so good that you're lucky they're yours. And Aaron Judge might just be that. Is Aaron Judge great because of the Yankees and their system? Or is Aaron Judge an outlier of the Yankee system? Again, the only other conclusion is that the Yankees who make the All-Star team, especially the ones that have made it multiple times outside of Aaron Judge, were homegrown Yankees. I think there's a lot of concern among a wide berth of the fan base that is concerned about the fact that the Yankees have not really done a great job with teaching their young players, the players in their system, how to be stars, how to be excellent major leaguers. We hear the hype. We're told player X is going to be great. A lot of the so-called Anthony Volpe hate, and no one is hating Anthony Volpe. I talk to lots of Yankee fans all the time. Yankee fans want to love Anthony Volpe. They want to embrace Anthony Volpe. They want Anthony Volpe to be great. At the same time, Yankee fans are frustrated and disappointed that Anthony Volpe right now is less than advertised. He was supposed to be, he's now in his 4th season. He was supposed to be a star, and he hasn't been. And we've outlined all this, and if you go to start spreading the news, you can see lots of articles about this. He hasn't really improved. And if he's done anything in his major league career, he's gotten worse. His defense has gotten worse. His hitting has not improved. And his stolen base ability gets worse year on year. That's the exact opposite trajectory that the Yankees or anybody wants. And he's just an example of a player that fans are frustrated with because the fans were told that he was the real deal. And to date, it can all change, but to date, he has not been. And there have been a whole plethora of players who have been promised to the fans that they were going to be the next great Yankee. And they all fall flat. Sure, some, Luis Severino, Gary Sanchez, had some moments of brilliance, but it wasn't sustaining. None of it was sustaining. The only other guy right now in the Yankees system, hitter, that seems like he could be the real deal is Ben Rice. And the only pitcher on that whole list who came through the Yankees system, we're talking about since 2018. This is now 8 years. This is not, well, we just had one bad free agent class or one bad draft or whatever. It's a pattern. And if you think about the fact that these players, before they reach the majors, spend years and years and years in the minors, mostly, you're talking about more than a decade of the Yankees only being able to produce one player, Aaron Judge, and they get credit for Aaron Judge. But there's a strong argument to be made that Aaron Judge is an outlier because he just doesn't fit into any box because he's that great. You could say the Yankees didn't mess him up. But of course, Aaron Judge famously does have his own batting coach, not the Yankees batting coach. And I think it's a fair statement to say that the Yankees aren't producing all-star players who are perennial all-stars. They're buying players who can do that, which I have no problem with, but they're not producing them. And I think all of this points to something that so many of us talk about, including myself. This is where one of the big problems with the Yankees lies. The Yankees want to be a team, it seems, that has a strong core component of homegrown players. This is why they pass on so many great free agents. But the problem is the Yankees don't seem to be able to create enough good homegrown players to make the team great. So the Yankees every year have a pretty good team, but it's not a great team. And part of the reason they're not great, really two reasons, is the homegrown players bring them down. Anthony Volpe, for example, this year. Austin Wells, for example, this year. The homegrown players bring them down at the same time that they're not willing to go out and get some of the superstar talent that could put them into the elite level. See, I have no problem, and I'm the type of Yankee fan, unashamed, that wants the Yankees to go out and get every great player every single year. When people talk about, I don't think the Yankees can afford that player, and that might wreck this payroll structure, and you should be able to build a team for under $300 million. You shouldn't have to pay over $300 million, and all these kind of arguments. Well, they're nice arguments. I don't buy any of them. If I owned the Yankees, or if I were the general manager of the Yankees, Mr. Steinbrenner, hire me. I'll bring you a World Series. I would tell Mr. Steinbrenner, I need to spend lots and lots of money. The talent isn't here. And when there's great talent, especially great young talent that's out there, we need to be the team that goes and gets those guys and then keeps them. When the Yankees got Juan Soto, they should have kept him. Now, I know he's making tons of money, and people say nobody should make that kind of money. No human's worth that kind of money. He's just out for the money. He also puts up big numbers every year. He's still putting up big numbers with the Mets in his second year. And I'm a firm believer that if a team is playing a player a certain amount of money, that team knows they can afford to pay that player and his teammates that kind of money. The idea that the owners, who are very smart, rich people, who work with very smart, rich people, and are advised by very smart, rich people, all people who know the value of the dollar today, what it looks like the value of the dollar will be tomorrow. They didn't get where they are to be people who can afford major league teams by not understanding how money works. And they didn't pay billions of dollars to get into an industry if that industry didn't project as something that's going to make them lots more money. These are smart, smart people. They don't just get unsmart when it comes to trying to pay a player. You know, let's pay more than that player is worth. They just, by and large, I don't believe they act that way. They have boards of trustees and investors and business people that this is their job. This is their living. This is how they put food on the table. Granted, they're big-time rich people, so it's a fancy food on the table. I don't think it's bologna, Oscar Mayer, but you get the point. They don't just get unable to make smart business decisions because they own a baseball team or they're making decisions about baseball players. So if the Mets are saying, yeah, we can pay Juan Soto $70 million or $90 million or $250 billion, and the Dodgers are playing Ohtani $700 gazillion and whatever. They made a business decision looking at raw data, looking at numbers, looking at trends over a long period of time. And they made a business decision that said, this guy is going to make us money. If we pay him $70 million, he's going to generate more than that. That's why they pay him that number, because they're smart business people. They don't own teams to lose money. That doesn't make any sense. Forbes just ran an article. I put it on Start Spreading the News a few days ago in a Perspectives article. People are saying Hal Steinbrenner should sell the team. And I get it. We would love to have an owner that says, all I care about is winning. But Hal Steinbrenner's net worth goes up every single year. And I think the number was $1.73 billion he's worth. He's paying Aaron Judge and all sorts of players tons and tons of money, and his net worth continues to go up. Now, if the players were a drag on his net worth, if owning the Yankees was a poor business decision, his net worth would be going down, but it goes up every year. Why? Because for all of the criticisms we have of Hal Steinbrenner, he's a smart businessman. He knows how to run a business and he knows how to make money. And he surrounds himself by smart business people who know how to make money. And he is advised by smart business people who know how to make money. If I own the Yankees, or if I were the Yankee general manager, I would say, let's use a lot of that money to build the best possible team. I'm not one of these fans that says, oh, I'm embarrassed when the Yankees go out and get all the superstars. Oh, no. I want the Yankees to go out and get all the superstars. I liked it when the Yankees were called the evil empire because the greatest players went through their system once they became free agents. I loved when they got Hideki Matsui and Jason Giambi and Alex Rodriguez and Roger Clemens and El Duque and Hideki Irabu and Jose Contreras and Mark Teixeira and CC Sabathia and John Carlos Stanton and Masahiro Tanaka and Juan Soto and Garrett Cole and Max Fried and Carlos Rodon and all the guys I didn't even name, Reggie and Goose and Winfield and all of that. I want the Yankees to operate that way. I love that. As a Yankee fan, I want the best players in the Bronx. So I'm not ever going to criticize the Yankees for spending money. But the Yankees haven't been spending the money. They spend a lot of money, but they haven't ever put out a totally full team. Every time they come into a season, you're saying they don't have a leadoff guy. The shortstop looks like it's weak. Third base looks like it's weak. The bullpen might not be so strong or whatever. Every year there's obvious weaknesses, and they pass on generational talent. And if you have, and that can be fine. That can be fine. Again, if it was me, I would just get the great guys. Bryce Harper, you're on. Shohei Ohtani, we got you. How much did the Dodgers offer? We'll beat it. Juan Soto, I know the Mets want you. We want you to stay. You're a superstar. You're staying in the Bronx. The Yankees don't let superstars go away. We keep our superstars. But I get the people who say I don't want the Yankees to operate that way. That all makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I get it. But if you're not going to operate that way, you then have to have players coming through your system who are really good and can fill in those other positions. And as we just noted, by looking at the All-Stars, while the Yankees occasionally have somebody with a flash of brilliance who makes the All-Star team, who came up through their system, except for those rare flashes and Aaron Judge, the Yankees haven't had the sustaining power to bring up and find guys who can be impactful major leaguers, all-stars for multiple seasons at a time, and help lead the Yankees to the promised land without buying great free agents. The third path is sort of the path that the Yankees were following when George Steinbrenner first got the team. Before the advent of free agency, you bring in lots of great players through trades, through brilliant trades. That's how they got Sparky Lyle. That's how they got Greg Nettles. That's how they got Chris Chambliss. That's how they got Mickey Rivers. That's how they got Ed Figueroa. You know, you just try to go through all the Yankees who were brought in by trades. Willie Randolph came via a trade. I mean, a smart organization could make brilliant trades and bring in lots of good players. Bucky Dent came by a trade. You look at like the 77, 78 Yankees. Munson was homegrown. Chambliss came by a trade. Randolph came by a trade. Dent came by a trade. Nettles came by a trade. Roy White was homegrown. Lou Piniella came by a trade. Mickey Rivers came by a trade. Reggie Jackson was a free agent. So you can do it by trades. I don't know if it's as easy to do that today. I don't have any statistics, or I don't even have an opinion on that. You'd have to have a pretty smart GM to be able to do something like that. But that's one path. That's one avenue to greatness. Another avenue is just go out and get all the great players. That's my perspective. That's how I want them to do it always. And the other perspective is, well, cut some corners, because you're going to have some great young talent come up and be great and help the Yankees win World Series. But the Yankees don't seem to be able to develop that good young talent that sticks with the Yankees for years on end, except Aaron Judge, who can lead them to a World Series. I mean, these are just, I just read all the All-Stars. You just heard all their names. So this is the problem with the Yankees business model. You have to develop a great minor league system that's going to develop great players if that is your business model. If you're going to rely on the minor leagues To supplant the major league roster with quality players, you have to develop quality players. And maybe Spencer Jones will be that. And maybe Jason Dominguez will be that. And maybe George Lombard Jr. will be that. And maybe Anthony Volpe will become that. And maybe Ben Rice will remain that. And maybe Austin Wells will become that. But by and large, the players we have seen the Yankees bring up, except for Aaron Judge, and now maybe Ben Rice, let's hope so, they haven't had that kind of staying ability. If you're looking at players, as our research base shows today, who have made it to become American League All-Stars. By and large, except for Aaron Judge, the Yankees who are All-Stars are players they bought or traded for. Mostly bought. That's just a fact. And if that's the only way you can get great talent to the Yankees, then you have to continue to spend money to bring more great talent to the Yankees. If you don't have minor leaguers who can help the Yankees win World Series, then you can't rely on minor leaguers to help the Yankees win World Series. None of this is rocket science. But as I've said for many years, the Yankees don't really want to be great. Let me take a step back. I think Brian Cashman knows what he's doing. I think Hal Steinbrenner knows what he's doing. I think the Yankee people who make the decisions behind the scenes, who help those guys out, know what they're doing. And I think they make critical decisions every year to say, we want to keep our payroll at this certain amount. And looking at the competition in the rest of the league, it's really not all that good. So we don't have to build a super duper great team. We have to build a team that's just a little bit better than pretty good. And they do that year in and year out. They build a team that's a little bit better than pretty good so that they'll always be in a pennant race, more money. They'll always, most often, be in the playoffs, more money. And their line of thinking is that in the playoffs, anything can happen. And anything can happen. We have seen many times in many sports and many situations where, with a small sample size, a team that probably shouldn't win wins. That can happen, and that does happen. That's what the Yankees hope happens every year. And one of these days it will work, and the Yankees will win the World Series. That doesn't mean it was a good approach. Because you have a history of 1,000 years since 2009 where it hasn't worked. So if it works at once every 17 or 18 or 20 years, you go, hey, we got the World Championship. But there's no sense that it's going to continue. Next year, the rule of averages are going to go the other way, and then you're not going to win. What I would prefer is to see the Yankees put the very best team on the field, the one that more often than not will win the short series, each of them, and be a team that can win the World Series and is a favored team to win the World Series, not because they're playing in a weak league, but because they're a super duper powerful squad, a super duper powerful team. That's the kind of Yankees I want to see. In all athletics, I want to see people and teams trying to be the best, not just trying to be a little bit better than pretty good. But the Yankees just go for the little bit better than pretty good. And it hasn't worked if the goal is winning world championships. And I don't think that's the Yankees' goal. Their actions speak otherwise. They want to be a little bit better than pretty good. And they are, year in and year out. But a little bit better than pretty good just doesn't inspire me. It doesn't get me excited. It doesn't make me say, you know what? And I'm as big a Yankee fan as there is in this entire world since 1977. But it doesn't make me say, you know what? Tonight, I think I'm going to go put the Yankees on because they're so fun to watch. Because they're not fun to watch. They're sloppy. They don't play a good brand of baseball. The manager makes poor baseball decisions. The press conferences from the manager and the general manager. I used to really enjoy listening to Brian Cashman because he was so insightful. Now he just, makes excuses and I'm standing by Aaron Boone, and he talks in a monotone. He never used to be that way. But anyway, there used to be energy and excitement. So, there's a whole lot about the Yankees that's just not exciting. It's not a compelling team to watch. Sure, I watch. Sure, I root. But I put a game on. I might watch for a minute or two, maybe a couple minutes. But I'm not compelled. I'm not drawn to the TV to say, wow, the Yankees are on. I can't miss it. It's 6:30. I got to get the Yankees on. I can't wait to watch this product because it's not a great product. And every year we see them go through weeks on end where they're terrible. I'm not going to waste my own time to watch somebody put out a ball club that's terrible. That's no fun. As a Yankee fan, I want to watch the Yankees win. And if they're not good enough to win, I want to watch a team that really at least plays good, sound baseball, which is something they just don't do. And when they don't do it, I'd like to hear the manager say, you know what? We didn't do it. We're not that good. We're playing lousy baseball. We need to shake things up. I want to hear the general manager say, you know what? This manager doesn't get this team on track. He's gone. But you don't get that with the Yankees. You get, tomorrow's another day. I know he went 0 for 5, but I really liked his approach at the plate. I know the pitcher gave up 13 home runs, but he really threw well today. You get the general manager saying, I know the Yankees have gone 5-15 over the last 20, but Aaron Boone's a solid manager. He's doing a great job. I wouldn't do anything different. You wouldn't do anything different? Really? This happens every year. They go through a month or so where they just can't seem to win. You wouldn't do anything different? And here's the reason why. Because this is the design. They're smart people. They don't need to be excellent. The American League's not that great. The Yankees can play terrible baseball for a month and still be pretty good. Still be one of the better teams in the league. Not a great league, but they're still one of the better teams in the league. And that's all they want. And that's what they get. But they're not going to win a lot of World Series. And they're not putting a product on the field that's exciting to watch because it's a great baseball team. And slowly, fans say, I don't need to be part of this thing. And again, we've talked about this a million times. And then when you put the games on Wednesdays on Prime and on Tuesdays on this and on Thursdays on that, and this day they're on TBS, that day they're on Fox, this day they're on ESPN, this day they're on streaming, this day they're on Yes, this day they're on Channel 2 or Channel 5 or something. I don't even know where to find them. Now, if it was a compelling product, one that I was really excited about seeing every day, I'd say, where are they? I have to find them. If they're a boring product, they're not exciting to watch, you put on Channel 70, you put on Yes, and you go, they're not there. Huh. Now what? I don't know. I don't know where they could be. Maybe there's some, I'm sorry, maybe I have hiccups all of a sudden. Maybe there's something I'd rather do. And you turn the TV off. And then that same thing happens the next night and the next night and the next night. If the Yankees were compelling, you'd say, oh my goodness, I got to watch them. I can't wait. What channel are they on? I got to look this up. I got to take the extra effort to find out where they are. And maybe even then you say, oh my goodness, 20 of the games are on Prime or Apple or wherever they are. And you say, I got to buy that service because I don't want to miss 20 games. Would I want to miss 20 games of the greatest baseball team playing baseball? Of course I wouldn't. I would want to see the Yankees as the greatest team playing those games. I'd say to my wife, dear wife, who I love and who's very supportive. And she wouldn't give me a hard time if I asked her. But I'd say, you know what? I think we got to subscribe to Prime because the Yankees are on 20 games and they're so good. If I said that to her now, she'd say, but all you do is complain about them because they're not good and they're boring and you don't even watch them when they're free. Why would we pay to watch other games? And I'd have to say, you know what? You're right. I haven't even asked. I haven't even brought it up because I don't want to spend any more money to watch a bad product. I don't even watch it, as we noted, when it's free. And so this is where the Yankees are. We still love them. I still want them to win, but I'd love them to have a little more accountability when they don't win. I'd love them to say that the business model they've been using since 2009 hasn't worked. I don't want to hear them say it works great. And at the same time say we're playing for a world championship, because you're not. If you're going to be a little bit better than pretty good, just say it works great because we really want to be a little bit better than pretty good and have a puncher's chance in the playoffs because anything can happen. And so every now and again, we will win the World Series because things are going to fall our way. If that's what they'd say, then I'd say, all right. The disconnect is when they go, we want to win the World Series. We're going to put the best team out there. And then they don't, and they look horrible, and then they lose in the playoffs, and then they go, nothing's wrong. All good. All-Star game tomorrow. Home run derby tonight. Thank you for watching the Dr. Sem. Well, this is actually the Start Spreading the News podcast. The Dr. Sem show is on Saturday mornings. So this has been the Start Spreading the News Yankee podcast. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day, a wonderful night. It's nice to have a couple of days free from Yankee baseball. And the season will begin again at the end of the week against the Los Angeles Dodgers. That should be an interesting series. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Remember, be nice, be good, appreciate other people, find goodness in other people, find goodness in the world around you, cherish it, be grateful. And then spread that gratefulness, spread that happiness. When we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. But that's not why we give it. We give it because it's the right thing to do, because we're all humans. We're all in this thing together. Great man once said, love thy neighbor. It's a great idea. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.